Hello everyone, welcome to my first playthrough of Dark Souls 2. I recently played Dark Souls 1 on the channel and I absolutely loved it. I had to give the next installment a try. I also found that this game was much harder than Dark Souls 1 and I definitely raged a couple times. I also streamed the entire thing on my Twitch, so if you want to see me play the other FromSoft games live, then you could go check that out. With that being said, let's get right into the run. The game starts by dropping us off in this strange area where we wander off into a small house met by these old ladies who bring us to the character customization screen, which was just as enjoyable as the one in Dark Souls 1. After creating my character, the game sends us to the tutorial area, which was very easy. Then we get to our hub area, Majula. This place is super cool looking. It's also where we get our Estus flasks from this mysterious lady. We explored a little bit and found this Estus flask shard inside of a well and talked to this random NPC that will come in handy later. After some more exploring, I found myself in this tunnel where I had to pull a lever to get into another named location called Hyde's Tower of Flame. Someone in chat told me I was in the wrong place, so I did some backtracking and even more exploring before entering the Forest of Fallen Giants, the true first level of this game. Surprisingly, this area was giving me a ton of trouble. All the enemies had little health, but my weapon had barely any range, making it hard to deal with the large amounts of enemies coming my way. I was getting way more frustrated than I needed to, and died way too many times before finding a sword, an actual sword. It didn't do too much damage, but the range was way better and still was a nice upgrade. This helped me get to the next bonfire, which was right next to an NPC that gives me the club. Yet again, another nice upgrade, because it does quite a bit more damage, and it's more strength based, which is what I was going for. After more running around and exploring, it led us to the first boss of this game, the last giant. Not too much to say about this boss. I did really like how you could target its legs individually, but I wasn't used to the hitboxes and the dodging from this game. I was also noticing that Estus was way slower to drink in this game than it was in Dark Souls 1. Either way, this boss was extremely easy, so we took the soul and made our way back to Majula for some upgrades. We soon bought the axe from the same NPC we got the bat from, which was another small upgrade. We went back to Hyde's Tower of Flame, where we're met with this Dragon Rider boss. I also remembered the cheese for this boss, and it's kind of funny, so I just did it. We successfully cheesed the boss and got a ton of souls as well as a bonfire. And don't worry, I play the rest of the game without cheesing the bosses or glitches. We level up a few more times and go back to the forest for another boss fight. After some more exploring, we got invaded by this Dennis fella, who was so annoying that I just decided to leave it. Very soon after, I found myself in an arena with a pursuer. I remember my brother telling me that you can use the crossbows in the back of the arena to shoot the boss, and I was trying my best to shoot it, but I kept missing, so I decided to beat the boss without the crossbows. This boss was quite a bit more challenging than the giant, so the hitboxes and Estus were really getting to me. This led to me getting killed once by the pursuer, but I quickly got back and killed it.
Boom.
Killing this boss brings us to the Lost Bastille, where we get annoyed by enemies, find a bonfire, and then get absolutely obliterated by the ruined sentinels. Then, I was told that if I light the torch near the blacksmith's bonfire, I'll get a brand new hammer, which is apparently a very good weapon and extra good against the ruined sentinels. I upgraded the hammer a few times and went back to the ruined sentinels, which went way better. I ended up killing them in a close fight due to the extremely high damage of the hammer. The only hard part I had with this boss for me was finding openings, but it's still way better than Ornstein and Smo was.
Let's go. Didn't that go? Okay, there was absolutely no shot I actually won that, but whatever, we'll take that.
We went back to Hyde's Tower of Flame so we could get to another boss. To do this, we had to run past a bunch of enemies, then kill this dragon to drop the bridge, then ran into a familiar face, the old Dragon Slayer, who looks a little bit like our old buddy Ornstein. We took him out easily and got declined into a covenant from this wizard guy. Then I didn't know where to go, so I decided to go back to the Ruined Sentinels arena to further explore what was behind it. Surprisingly, there was a lot to do, so I did some more exploring and found myself in the arena for a cool boss called the Lost Sinner. I get killed very quickly, so I decide to come back to this boss later on in the run. I later explore this area called the No Man's Wharf, where I get bombarded with enemies, but luckily we find the Greatsword, which I decide not to use because I really like the hammer right now, but don't worry, I'll come back to it later in the run. We ring this bell, which brings over a pirate ship to the area, as well as our next boss, the Flexile Sentry, which I don't even think should count as a boss because it's a regular enemy later in the game. I still thought that this was a cool boss and the arena was really cool. After killing the boss, we get sent to another bonfire, which is also where I decide to pack up the stream for the day. Once I picked it up again, I decide to kill the Lost Sinner. This boss felt extremely unfair with poor hitboxes and annoying attacks. I still ended up killing the boss and got a lot of souls, which I used to level up a bunch. Then I had to Google my way to the next location, the Huntsman's Copse, which also happened to be very difficult to navigate. But I seem to have found a hidden bonfire which helped out a ton. Then I got invaded by a guy with a big sword and made my way to the next boss arena, the Skeleton Lords. This boss was awesome. It kind of reminds me of that one boss from Hollow Knight, just because of like the 3 chairs in the background of the arena. I don't know why. Sadly though, this boss was way too easy.
There we go.
Then I went to the preceding area,
Harvest
which is where the
Valley.
game started to get
Poison?
very annoying.
Yep.
The Harvest
Oh,
Valley.
ew.
I had to run around so much in this area just to figure out where to go
Wow.
without being poisoned the entire time and getting chased around by these annoying enemies.
Oh yeah.
Then I eventually got into the Earthen Peak, which is when I thought things would get better, but they got so much worse. Now I had to fight all the enemies in a smaller space. All the enemies were way more annoying and they had extremely annoying attacks and did insane amounts of damage. Then after enough exploring, I got into a boss arena with Jabba the Hutt.
Oh, it is a demon.
This boss was extremely easy. Not too much else to say. Then I did some further exploring into this area where there were more enemies, more poison, and smaller areas to fight enemies. I would say that this is easily one of the hardest parts of the game.
No!
Well, maybe not too hard, just extremely
It literally
frustrating.
happened again. It literally happened. Boss,
Once
we
I
have to
finally
do
got the
some
hang of it,
the-
I was met with a boss
you
that
do
almost
damage
seemed
at this?
impossible.
Can
I was
just tell me what
confused
do?
until I remembered my brother had a hard time with this boss
Ooh.
until finding out that if you destroy this windmill with a torch, it somehow removes the poison from the
There you go,
arena,
my part.
making the boss rather easy.
There we go. Okay. Okay.
Now, I found myself in the next extremely annoying part of the game, the Iron Keep. I died and got invaded a few times until I decided I would pack up the stream for the night. Soon after, I started up the next stream and realized that Iron Keep is meant to be played a little bit later in the game,
Oh, he
so I
two-shots
explored
me.
my way down to the well in Majula after talking to the ladder NPC that I met in Earthen Peak. I entered a new area called the Grave of Saints, where I fought an invader and also had to do this fight against the Royal Rat Vanguard, which was an interesting fight to say the least. Didn't even feel like an actual fight, to be honest. After I beat the boss, I was met with this NPC which let me join the Rat Covenant, which sounded so funny that I obviously joined it.
Absolutely, I want to join the Rat King Covenant.
I also ended up finding myself in Blighttown 2.0,
The
or the
gutter.
Gutter, which was very strange and also very annoying. There were these statues that would shoot out poison and these super annoying enemies with swords that did an absurd amount of damage. I soon realized that lighting up the torches might actually be a good idea, so I did that and continued on to the next area way faster. This next area was actually the most frustrating part of the whole game, the Black Gulch. It was all green and I got poisoned and grabbed by the same time by the stupid hand enemy that sent me back up to the gutter. It took me so long to get back there, only to realize that I passed a bonfire right before I died.
Oh my god, I totally missed that campfire.
Now it's time for arguably the most rage-inducing part of this entire game, the boss run to the Rotten. This was painful. There were a million poison statues that spammed poison at you, and there were these hand monsters trying to grab me the entire time. Invasions and an annoying boss to top it all off. I had a
For this
plan.
guy.
Use one run to take out all the statues and hand things so I can 1v1 the invader. This went well until I realized that there was another invasion after this one. I quickly gave up on this plan and started running straight to the boss arena. I died so many times, but the boss's attacks were predictable for the most part, so I took it down after a few tries.
Oh my god.
This area was finally over, so I went to the next area called the Shaded Woods. This area was really cool looking and a nice break from the craziness of the other areas. There were these invisible enemies that I couldn't see and these pots that tried to curse me, but it was still better than the other enemies that I faced. Other than that, the area was a bit of a maze to explore, but I found this NPC that sells me another greatsword and that'll come in handy later in the run.
Can buy a great sword, that's cool.
I eventually made my way to the Scorpioness Najka, which was an annoying boss the first try, but the boss run was so easy that I wasn't too bothered.
Nice.
This led to an area called Brightstone Cove Seldora, which gave me lots of Titanite and annoying enemies, but I persevered and ended up in an arena with the spider boss. This boss was extremely easy after you realize what's going on, but a cool fight nonetheless.
I was gonna say, damn, why does head...
After doing all of these other areas, it was finally time to go back to the Iron Keep, where I faced off again with the Smelter Demon. After dying a few times to its horrible hitboxes, it was dead. I did it.
Finally! Oh my gosh.
I was so happy that this was finally over because I could finally progress further in the game. I found this mini area called Belfree Soul
Nice.
with mini knights, which was really funny and cool. I still don't really get why it's there, but it was a nice addition. After I'd completed that area, I packed up the stream for the night. When I brought the stream back, I darted right for the boss arena, the old Iron King. Not too much to say about it, but it's almost like the arena was a bigger threat than the boss itself. Considering that the lava was an insta-kill, the only time that I died wasn't even to the boss. Oh! Killing this boss opened up a door in a previous area to the Dragonlit Castle, which was going to be the next big area of this game. This place wasn't too difficult compared to the other areas in the game. It was just very hard to navigate. It felt like everywhere I went there was a dead end. I decided to work on my character a bit more before progressing further.
What?
Remember when I said there was an NPC that sold a greatsword? Well, I went back to him so I could run double greatsword because apparently it's pretty good and it looks really cool. I went to the NPC, bought the greatsword, and went to the blacksmith to max it out. I just needed a little bit more titanite to max it out, and I had no clue how to get this until someone in chat said there was a way to farm it. This sounded awesome until I realized where this was. That horrible boss run with those hand things trying to grab me? Yeah, those happened to have a small chance to drop the exact titanite that I needed. So off I went, and after getting annoyed out of my mind, I left with the titanite that I needed to upgrade my second greatsword. I was so excited until I realized that I was slow rolling no matter how I configured my build. So after all of that, I saved the greatsword for later and went back to the castle. After way too much looping around, someone in chat told me that I just missed a lever, which was super annoying, but that was the only reason why I couldn't progress any further. This unlocked this room that had a guy chained to a door. I couldn't kill it, so I just let it be. This also let me progress to the boss of this area. The Looking Glass Knight was a super cool boss. The arena was insane, and the concept of this boss was so cool. I ended up killing this boss on the first try, progressing to what chat was calling the most frustrating area in the entire game. I didn't think that I'd be able to handle anything worse than the Black Gulch or Iron Keep, so I just had to go in with an open mind. This area was packed with invasions, alongside these cleric guys who didn't have much health, but chase you around really fast and pack a massive punch. There were also these wizards trying to shoot at me the entire time. After dying way too many times, I started to make a route with the help of chat that let me run through most of the stage without dying. After lots of practicing and relying on chat to tell me where to go, I ended up next to a very strange boss, the Demon of Song. This boss did a lot of damage, and it was immune to damage most of the time, but the attacks were rather predictable even though I got caught in its grab a few times. This also led us to the Undead Crypt, one of the last areas of the game. This may have been one of the most annoying parts of the game, even after all those other extremely annoying areas. There were so many enemies that were chasing me around the entire time. It was also super dark, and I didn't understand the whole concept that if you hit the bells, then it spawns a ton of enemies. Oh! The entire area looks the same to me, so I had absolutely no idea where I was going. It wasn't too long until I found a shortcut that led straight from the bonfire to the boss room. Oh god. There was only one problem. This boss room was insanely difficult to get through because there were so many enemies. I soon figured out that there were these two enemies hidden in a room underneath the stairs, ringing those stupid bells. So I started to kill them, and then I got all the enemies to chase me so I could book it straight for the boss room. And surprisingly enough, it worked.
What are the odds I can get through this?
I ended up getting to the boss room and dying because I didn't understand how the boss attacks worked. After the first try, I had the attacks down and quickly took out the boss.
That wasn't too bad.
Getting me the King's Ring. More importantly, the souls I got for this boss let me upgrade enough to dual wield the greatswords, which felt super cool. Someone in chat wanted me to kill this one random boss, so I said sure. I went to the boss and got terrified after realizing there were two of them. Someone in chat said that it was the Ornstein and Smo of Dark Souls 2, so I was rightfully scared. After hitting the boss, I was realizing that my greatswords were taking out a quarter of their health every hit, so I just had to find a few openings.
Oh, that was so close. That was so close. He was gonna, you can tell he was like, just about to revive.
Turns out this boss is totally useless to kill this early in the game because it just unlocks the arena for the final boss. I used my King's Ring to get to this weird area with all these stupid hippo enemies running around. This area isn't hard, it's just very annoying that FromSoft used the same jump scare twice. And it worked on me.
My bad.
Twice.
I'm just gonna open the door and then go back.
This area was super quick and led to this really cool dragon boss. It did a ton of damage to me, and I got killed once with this fire breathing attack, but this dragon was taking a little bit of damage from the dual greatswords.
No, we tanked those.
This led to my favorite area in the game, where these dragons were flying around the entire time, and it was just super cool. This also gave me a really strong ring that I was going to use for the rest of the game.
What?
Oh. After this, I went back to the Forest of Fallen Giants. I entered this giant's memories and had to take out this massive giant. I died once because I didn't really know what was going on, and it did a ton of damage, but after that, it really wasn't too bad.
Oh my god.
What? I killed the boss, got a massive amount of souls, and then
Oh,
went
that gave me
back
so
to
many
that arena
souls.
from earlier to fight the final boss, Nishandra. This boss was really cool. The concept of cursing the player throughout the fight was
Wait,
really
what?
annoying, but
Oh,
went
no.
well with the concept of the game. I realized that you could kill the curse things around the arena during the fight, which was really cool, and that was all it took to kill the boss.
Nice.
And with that said, the run was over. Thank you so much for making it to the end of the video. I do realize that I did miss a few bosses and the DLC, so if you want to see that, then just let me know. Also, make sure to comment if you want to see me play any other games or give me some feedback, because that would be greatly appreciated. But if you did enjoy the video, then make sure to like and subscribe. Thank you so much.